The Washington Post is reporting that several Trump-allied attorneys assisted in an effort to copy 2020 presidential election data. According to the Washington Post, the records show that 10 people downloaded data collected from Georgia or Michigan between December 2020 and February 2021. These records also mention the role of Sidney Powell, the lawyer who was hired by former President Trump to push out false claims about voting machines in a series of state lawsuits. So for more on this, let's bring in one of the authors of that article, Jon Swaine. He's an investigative reporter for the Washington Post. Jon, thanks for being here. We appreciate your time. So how exactly are Georgia officials responding to this discovery?
You know, until very recently, it doesn't appear that Georgia state officials have done much on this. They were alerted to this back in February, that there may have been a breach in Coffee County. They said they looked into it, but a couple of months later, a senior official in the Secretary of State's office said that it hadn't happened. And these records that we're reporting on have only come to light thanks to the plaintiffs in a civil lawsuit against Georgia authorities. They subpoenaed this data forensics firm that Trump-allied lawyers hired to go into state offices and copy this data. And these plaintiffs shared the records that they obtained, and they show that, as you say, the records were downloaded multiple times. Now, since we've reported on this, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has announced that they are now opening a criminal investigation into possible computer trespass, which is a felony offense in Georgia. So it seems like Georgia state officials are kind of playing catch up on this issue, but they assure us that they are now looking into it.
I mean, what's so interesting about this and startling, really, is that several Trump operatives, right-wing activists, and Republican politicians reportedly accessed this election data before and after the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. So kind of how serious is this?
Election security officials take this very seriously. They have said that data of this kind can provide clues or a kind of roadmap to bad actors who might want to get inside machines elsewhere, to potentially interfere with them, to hack them essentially, and to try to affect the way that they work. And so the people who are experts in this, academics, say that the level of access they got to this material is very serious. And the plaintiffs in the lawsuit I mentioned are calling for sort of urgent action by state authorities to try and mitigate this somehow.
Yeah, I mean, about that plaintiff in your article, the executive director of a nonprofit that is a plaintiff in the Georgia lawsuit said the implications of these findings, quote, go far beyond Coffee County or Georgia. So what might this mean for former President Trump and his lawyers who were allegedly involved?
It could be very serious. As I mentioned, a criminal investigation has been opened in Georgia. There was already a criminal investigation in Michigan, which had scooped up some of the same people that were in this data that we reported on. Matthew DePerno, who's the Republican nominee for Michigan Attorney General, is under investigation in that inquiry. And this new criminal investigation in Georgia, if it were to find that this access to the voting machines and other equipment was unauthorized under the law, then the attorneys and the experts that were sent in to do these inspections, to copy the data, they could be looked at by criminal authorities with a view to prosecution. And so there are other states and other counties where permission was granted by judges in some cases. In Coffee County, Georgia, this was a really stealthy intrusion, if you like, into the county offices there. A pro-Trump election supervisor appears to have just let these people into her office because she believed President Trump's claims that the election had been stolen. And so this sort of data is typically tightly controlled. You have to be a county employee, you have to have credentials to access it. But this supervisor in Coffee County allowed people who did not have that authorization to just copy vast amounts of data and share it with these pro-Trump operatives that you mentioned.
Some scary stuff. Jon Swaine, thank you so much for your reporting and for sharing it with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks.